of Elkem TV briefly with our show, but that is What Law. Basically, this show, we look at various laws that actually govern states, as we also know that a law is actually all about governing states. Meanwhile, once again, just allow me welcome you once again for this particular show on Elkem TV. Thanks for always loving Elkem TV, particularly today on my social media platforms. I actually hoped to be having the town clerk, but unfortunately, and the information that I'm getting, that the chairperson LOC 3 representing the Central Division, that's Honorable, it's called Honorable Bongo Min. Unfortunately, this morning he lost, it could be a son or a daughter, that the wife gave birth yesterday, but unfortunately, the kid passed away. So we expect him to be in place or not be in place, but it can't actually stop the show from proceeding. So I only implore you to get onto YouTube, type Elkem TV, subscribe, so that we can simply move together on this particular show. My name is Urban Brown. Just stay tuned. We're going to look at a lot of things in law. We now move for a short break, and when we return, we shall just get set off from there.
Our dear esteemed customers, we introduce to you Urban Ladies Saloon. Thanks for watching.
Okay, once again, a very good morning and welcome back from that short commercial break. My name is Urban Brown. To the set, actually went into this particular show entitled What Law, where we look at a couple of laws, different laws that govern our societies or our localities or the places where we live in. You know, we have gotten a couple of things, a couple of laws that we actually move through to avoid actually contravening with the law. You know, today today I want us to actually, had I told you, I told you before when I was introducing the show, that I hopefully hoped to be having the town clerk from the Central Division, but unfortunately the information I'm getting from there is actually not interesting. That the chairperson LOCC, that's Bongomin, has lost the kid. Unfortunately, I'm not so sure that he'll be joining us, but in case he joins us, we shall still turn back to the particular set that was actually communicated earlier on. As I told you, as I've already told you, my name is Urban Brown, and we are going to look at law. What is actually law? Maybe before we get into some other things, particularly, I want us to first look and understand what is meant by the term law. What do you understand? Anyone that is actually viewing Elkem TV right now, what comes into your mind when you hear about law, and what does the law do? And that is particularly what I want us to look at. Honestly, the word law actually means, a law is a set of rules that actually set by the state organ to actually manage the society. A set of rules that are set by state organ to manage other societies. In that, these laws are actually set by the state. And when we talk about state, there are actually a number of things that a number of positions that are aligned under that. And when we talk about that, we have actually three things that we normally look at, and that's when we talk about the state, we look at the executive, we look at the judiciary, we look at the legislature, and the first estate, that's the media, where we actually, these people have not gotten enough time to actually always come onto air and educate the masses about the laws that they actually set. So back to the state. Or the state organs. I've talked about the executive, and when we talk about the executive, this is particularly the president and the cabinet ministers. It's actually what actually all the executive is aligned with those people, or that's the president, the ministers, that cabinet of the ministers. And we move away from there, we come to parliament. Parliament, these are actually, it's an organ that actually the lawmakers, call them the lawmakers. These are people that sit in parliament. They go for plenary. They set laws that actually govern the country. So what you need to know, that these laws are actually set by the legislature, and that is parliament. The members of parliament that actually go in parliament are the ones that are responsible for setting these laws. Now, after the legislature system, or the parliament has set laws, it actually moves back to the executive, that's the president and the cabinet ministers, for approval. In that, these people, when they actually come about with a law and talk about it, they actually send it to the president to approve it. So these bodies work in conjunction. And after away from there, we actually also have the judiciary. And when we talk about the judiciary, these are the law implementers. They're actually based on implementing the laws that come actually approved, made by the parliament, approved by the executive, and they implement. When we talk about the judiciary, these are the people that we find in court that handle the people that have actually contravened with the law. You have actually went astray with the law. They handle you basing onto the set laws. So actually, we want to, away from there, that has been the state organ that actually is actually set to set laws for the country, or for the welfare of the country, to ensure that there is safety in the country. We actually look at those three main state organs. And away from there, I want us to also look at the types of laws. We've gotten a couple of laws but people mistake them. They talk about this, they talk about the other, don't actually understand what is what. We have got, it's called statutory law, and these statutory law, these are laws that are made made by parliament, and these are the laws that you find having articles. They have gotten a couple of articles. You find saying Article B, those articles. Those are laws that are actually made from the parliament. The laws you hear that they're talking about articles. They're talking about this. They talk about the other. That's one type of laws. law, and we also have the common law. When we talk about the common law, it's an important source of law made by the government, and through the doctrine, through the doctrine precedent. Yes, that is the common law, and away from there we actually have the customary law. When we talk about the customary law, these are laws that are actually developed by the customs of a people and applicable in the given individual communities. You understand? From our customs, actually it's where these customary laws are made from. And away from there we also have the ecclesiastical, or the religious law. This is actually the law that is normally it actually normally looks at or guides the religious marriage. That is the ecclesiastical law. It guides, or actually said to guide the marriage people that is in the church. At the moment you hear the word religion, it actually originates from the church. And I want us today to also have an opportunity of actually talking about the constitution. You know, there are a lot of things that are said when it comes to constitution. You know, a constitution is actually a supreme mother law. Maybe like in our country Uganda, we take a constitution to be our supreme mother law, and any law that conflicts with it is null and void. You know, there is no, apart from the constitution, be other laws, they can't actually conflict with it. It's where all these other laws actually originate. And from there, there's also some technical terms that in case you go to court, you find there some technical terms like jurisdiction, those terms they use to actually confuse. Those are botanical terms, you understand. As today I want us to also talk about jurisdiction. What you understand, or what comes into your mind, our viewer of Elkem TV, or the person that is watching Elkem TV right now. I'm so optimistic that this is not your first time to actually hear the word jurisdiction. And today I want to actually have elaborate it more, so that you can understand what is actually meant by the term jurisdiction. When they talk about jurisdiction, this is actually the powers of court to hear cases. When somebody says maybe a case is still under jurisdiction, just know that these are the powers of court to hear what cases. That term of court, it's actually a term used to describe court hearing cases. You understand? That is jurisdiction. And the jurisdiction is also explained in terms of jurisdiction is also explained in terms of geographical coverage. When I talk about that in terms of explained in terms of geographical coverage, here in simple terms, it looks at the strengths of it actually looks at the strengths of the crime, and where it's actually it has been committed geographically. That's actually what is meant by jurisdiction. When we actually get into the side of the law, these officials have actually gotten those technical terms that actually confuse our minds. And today, once again, I want us to look at the levels. When you go to court, there are also some levels of courts that you find there, and basing onto the cases or the offenses. You understand? So, because we have got when we talk about the cases or offenses, we have gotten the libel and slander. When we talk about the libel, these are actually cases that are more serious, very serious, like murder, high robbery. We talk of murder, high robbery, aggravated defilement. Those big cases. That's what we call libel. Very serious cases. And when we look at slander, these are simple cases. You understand? You can simply call them civil cases. I've also got into systems. We have the civil cases and the criminal cases. It is also a challenge, and this is where you find a contradiction of people not actually understanding what is meant by slander, by civil and a criminal law. Today, I want to also give you a highlight on actually those terms, actually what they mean. When they talk of civil law, these actually laws. Sorry, when they talk of civil laws, actually these are laws that are actually based. You know, it's they look at two people. You know, they look at this law actually looks at two people, you know. It deals with matters between private individuals. Maybe that's what I can tell you. You know, private individuals, like you've gotten, for example, you've gotten your neighbor. Maybe you borrowed him your money, and maybe has failed to pay back. That's what we call actually the civil cases. And you know, when it comes to civil cases, matters actually they don't they arrest you maybe only when you are a defaulter. But when you come to court, court will tell you to agree. To understand yourselves. That's why you find that matters that are civil actually determined depending on the balance of what probability. They look at actually they try to weigh the case and look it's actually determined based on the balance of probability. You know, these officials from court actually know how to twist and actually move into the things, you understand. But particularly civil law is actually meant of it deals with matters between the private persons or private individuals, you and your neighbor. Those simple cases. This one did this to me, or you know, the cases that are not so serious. Like I told you, that is slander. And when we also when we move on to the criminal side, you know, these are actually serious cases. You know, when they talk of criminal, as I told you later on, that they actually look at murder, high robbery, those big offenses. And this deals with issues between, when you talk of criminal, it is this one deals with issues between the offender and the state, meaning that you maybe when you kill someone, you know, in our country Uganda, when you kill somebody, then it is Uganda to actually you stand, or to say you stand in court with Uganda. When we talk of Uganda, this is government or the state. You know, it's not, and it's no longer now civil, or maybe talking person to person, arguing what you know versus the government. So this is where the DPP comes in. That's the director of public prosecution. That is the state. So you verse the state. These are criminal laws. You no longer verse the person, or the person that you conflicted. And under criminal law, as I told you, it's where we have the murdering, the robbery, the aggravated defilement. Those are actually big offenses. And onto this law, actually, for one, maybe to win, or you know, actually maybe make a judgment, the judge actually. You see, there is a difference. The other side, for matters to be determined, they are determined under, they are determined on a balance of probability. So when we get here, actually, the judge must be, the judge must be convinced beyond beyond reasonable doubt, meaning that here the matter actually becomes more serious, in that you can't just get there and then maybe get out of it. You know, you're versing the state, meaning that what your case is weighing is actually very big. So it actually gives you hard time and much time for you to convince the magistrate, you understand. Basically, we're still moving on with the law. I employ just a tuned so that you can simply understand these simple terms that are in law. You know, just allow me move you into a short break, and when we return back, we shall begin from there. We're still proceeding with the law way, you understand. Still stay tuned, don't move away.
Our dear esteemed customers, we introduce to you Urban Lady Solution. Thanks for watching.
Oh, once again, we'll be back from that commercial break. My name is Urban Brown. Until the state of what law, we actually trying to navigate and looking through a couple of things or a couple of terms or the law system. You understand? Later on, I told you that on this particular show today, I hope to be having the town clerk. That is Central Division, Masindi. Unfortunately, the chairperson, LOC3, that's Bongomin Isaac, has lost a kid. So he may not be with us today, but any other time he'll be in place because the issue to handle or communicate to the masses was very, very, very crucial. And particularly before we got into a break, I wanted to first take you into the levels, that are in court. Courts have gotten levels basing on even the basing on the weight of the case. You understand? You can't actually do aggravated defilement, or you do robbery or murder. They take you in a downer court. These are cases that are pushed to high, to big courts. Meanwhile, I want you to take you through those levels. We shall begin from top, moving downwards. I want you to understand these steps or these courts and how they function. We have the Supreme Court. Supreme Court, actually, it is the final court. When I talk of Supreme Court, it's a final court. At the moment, matters are decided from all the courts and they reach Supreme Court, and they are decided. That marks the end of that case. You understand? You would have passed through all the levels of courts and failed. The last people to make decisions, that is the Supreme Court. And away from the Supreme Court, we have the Court of Appeal. Where does the Court of Appeal come in? This is when maybe when you had a matter in High Court, and maybe after the judgment you didn't agree, you disagreed with the judgment, and then you go for a Court of Appeal. That is another level of court. You appeal, and the case is reheard, or they start rehearing the case. You understand? Now we also have the chief magistrate. When we talk of the chief magistrate, this is the force. We're coming from up, moving back, downward. This is the first court. When we talk of the chief magistrate or the chief magistrate court, this is actually a court that handles cases like defilement, robbery. We have there is high robbery and robbery, whereby high robbery, this a kind of case where you find guns are involved, but when we talk about robbery, you could be robbed by, you could have been robbed by somebody, but not using those big things like guns involved into that case, what you understand. So he actually handles those simple cases, they are not simple, but those cases that are not so much big, you understand. And we also downward we move to magistrate grade 1. This is actually where actually laws these simple cases, the civil cases I was talking about. I gave my neighbor money and he failed to pay back. The land conflicts, those things. This is the first level in court. We start from the first level and then moving on to different steps based on how I told you. We have the magistrate grade 2 is also a lower court. They also handle these simple cases. And lastly, we have the magistrate grade 3. We particularly have 7 courts. And when you pass through all these courts and matters fail, that marks the end of the case. You understand? Whether you won or you won the case. You understand? These are the only levels that we have got. Only 7. That is the Supreme Court, Court of Appeal. We have the High Court. We have the Chief Magistrate. We have the Chief Magistrate Grade 1. We have the we have the Magistrate Grade 1. We have the Magistrate Grade 2 and Magistrate Grade 3. You understand? And away from there, I want us to also look at the persons under the law. We have also gotten 2 persons under the law, and that is the natural person and the artificial person, or you can call corporate, you can call the artificial person the corporate person. When we talk about the natural person, this is a person that is actually born and respected and recognized by the law. When you're born and you're respected and recognized by the law, we actually take you to be a natural person in this state. You understand? And in Uganda, a person is recognized an adult at the age of 18. The moment you clock 18 years, you are recognized an adult. In our country, Uganda, that's basing onto our systems and how things are actually made in our country, Uganda. And away from there, I want us also look at the artificial person. What is actually meant by the artificial person or the corporate person? A corporate person is one that is actually created by the law. When somebody is just coming into the law, you're not born of that very locality or what, we take you to be a corporate person, someone that is actually created by the law, whereby under this artificial person or the corporate person, I've actually also gotten two types of the artificial persons. And under the artificial persons, we have the corporate soul and the corporate agreement. Next time when I get into this show, particularly, I'll be right here and trying to take you through these two, the corporate soul and the corporate agreement, what they actually mean onto the artificial person. As we're still moving on with this particular show, allow me to appreciate you, the person that is actually watching Elkem TV. Thanks for being on set. Thanks for loving Urban Brown. Thanks for loving Elkem TV. And thanks for always staying tuned and following our shows or wherever place you are. Today, as I told you on to the set, this show is actually meant to look into the law. We look at different laws that actually govern states. You understand? You could be in your village whereby the chairperson and the committee sat and made a bylaw. When they make a bylaw, meaning this bylaw will manage the village, you understand? And anyone that contravenes with it is actually punished, you understand? Basically, that's how things operate. And as I told you that I'm moving now, I just want to make a small summary about what we have actually talked about, and you keep it into your mind. Don't be challenged, you understand, or failing or asking yourself, where do I have to go? All this. These quotes are there and they're very important, understand. You could be having a matter and then you go to your person LOC1, and from there maybe the person that you actually clashing with has money or what, and then from there you're suppressed, or maybe you cheated from there, you understand. So the best way to go is going to courts. But I would not advise anyone to actually, if something is actually very simple, you can simply sort it out by yourselves rather than running to court. Court is actually a process. As I've told you that we have gotten a couple of courts. That's from the high court, from the Supreme Court to the downer court. That's the magistrate court. So it is a process. You understand? It's like a transition coming from childhood to adulthood. You understand? So it is a process. You find that maybe you've gone to court, you have to hire lawyers, and which is very expensive. At the end of the day, you find that even what you're fighting for is less worth what you're actually giving out to lawyers. So it's actually very important. If something is solvable, you can actually solve something. Just sit onto the round table and sort out issues rather than running to court. These are systems, but you can't actually predict, because we have actually seen it. Was it last year when they were actually reading, was it the budget, if not mistaken? We saw actually the judiciary being one of the most top actually corrupt organs that have got in Uganda. So that is it. So I implore you, actually, when we get into the site, we look about these things, you actually put them into your consideration. Particularly, time is not my best ally. My name is Urban Brown. Today I've been onto the site of this Elkem TV, trying to actually talk about these different systems that are into the law sector. All you have just implement and look for the best way you can actually learn these laws. I'll keep updating you and giving you more. Meanwhile, as I told you, time is not my best ally. Today is a very serious day. We actually left with 1 day to end this month of January. Just allow me wish you the best of this particular week, and let's catch up next week. That will be on Tuesday for this particular show. My name is Urban Brown, and allow me wish you the best. Have yourself a nice week.